Hello and welcome to One to Watch, WTV's flagship sports programme, providing you with exclusive sports coverage from around campus. I'm Joe Shennan, and tonight I'm joined in our SUHQ studio right at the heart of campus by three of the best pundits in the business. Doing the Loughborough, Shearer and Hansen impressions this week are Matt Bartlett, Tony Hewitt and Stel Kabouridis. We'll get onto the guys in a second. But tonight's action, starting off, and this week we're focusing on football. The men's first team got their Bucks Midlands 1A division campaign underway last week after promotion at the end of last season with a home fixture against Loughborough 2s, and WTV Sport were there at the Cryfield Pavilion to capture all the highlights. Delighted to say we've been joined by the Warwick captain Sam Longdon today. Sam, cheers for joining us. Disappointing afternoon today. What do you think went wrong?
I think first half we played quite well. We had a few good chances. We spent a lot of our time chasing the ball, and we're always going to be behind Loughborough in that sort of sense. They're a sporting university and they've been back 5 weeks. We've only been back 3. And I think really we just got tired towards the end, and that's what's cost us today.
In that sense, do you give credit to Loughborough, or was it more of a case of a bad day at the office for us?
They're a team that sort of when we get towards mid-season, towards Christmas, we should be beaten comfortably. So I'd say, yeah, it's more on us today.
Were you disappointed with maybe the manner of the goals that we conceded this afternoon, perhaps?
Yeah, you're always disappointed to concede sloppy goals, but we've just got to take that on the chin and look forward and do better next week.
And obviously a few of the lads who were unhappy with the referee at the end. Can you tell us why that was?
We just felt that Javier was stamped on there, and also the goal that's allowed in the first half. We didn't think there was much of a reason for that, but these things happen. It's not the Premier League, so yeah, just take it on the chin and get on with it.
And is it a case of being positive, moving on to the next fixture and looking to really kick-start the season as soon as possible?
Absolutely, yeah. Win next week against Cambridge. That'll be good. Yeah.
Cheers, Sam. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
So a fairly comfortable win for Loughborough there, Loughborough 2s, and a disappointing start to the season for Warwick, losing by 2-0. Let's go over to our pundits now. Matt Bartlett, Tony Hewitt and Stel Kabouridis with me this evening. Let's start with you, Stel. Poor performance from Warwick this evening, we know that, but Loughborough the better team?
Overall, yeah, I think so. You just have to come to that conclusion because despite some promise in the centre of midfield for Warwick, they were just getting absolutely outstripped on the wings the whole day, and defensively perhaps playing a little high up, but overall, yeah, I think Loughborough can come away quite comfortably with that win, and that Warwick made them look like a better team than they were.
Yeah, Tony, do you agree with that point of view? Warwick just not at the races today, really?
Yeah, definitely. I think Loughborough made the pitch look about twice the size that Warwick did. They There's one point where there's about 3 people on the right hand side and no one's marking them. I mean, the width was a big thing, and also as Stel said, the back line it was so high they were just punting balls over the top for a lot of the game. So yeah, pretty comfortable.
So Matt Bartlett, back over to you. Obviously, good football from Loughborough on show in the game. Is that the mark of a sports-centred university? I mean, we all know how keen Loughborough are on their sport and how much emphasis they put on it.
Well, yeah, you saw that Warwick were completely outclassed. Loughborough using the full length of the pitch, as Tony said. Warwick were very direct in their football. What you can just see from the highlights, the amount of chances that Loughborough had, and the 2 goals they scored, the Warwick defence really were at fault. So it was a big problem there defensively, definitely outclassed.
You talk about the amount of chances that Loughborough had, Matt, but still, I mean, Warwick, barely any efforts on goal. I mean, when you're not creating chances, it's got to be worrying for the team, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, apart from the disallowed goal, which I think we'll come to later, there was one chance which was from a range that just wasn't going to trouble the keeper at all. And yeah, apart from that, there was one other volley I think which was from a very good shot, but again it was from a considerable distance, and you know the keeper's not going to struggle to get that had it been on target.
Yeah, absolutely, Tony. I mean, Andrew Amato was the player with that volley, just going wide, of course. A good technique on it as well, but we barely got into the opposition's penalty area, really. There's nothing really that you can look in the game at Warwick and say that was a great chance, you know, a chance that we should have taken.
It was kind of worrying in that respect, going forward, as Stel says, restricted, and at this level as well, long range shots. I mean, great technique on the volley, but it wasn't on target. There was one shot on target all match. I mean, you can argue the disallowed goal, there's questions of a penalty for the ball in from Amato, but yeah, I mean, it is a bit worrying, but still a long time left in the season.
Let's move on to that disallowed goal now, because absolutely 100% one of the key talking points in the game. I mean, anyone can come in on this and kind of tell me a reason that the referee's given to disallow it. It's just absolutely bizarre to me, man.
Well, yeah, I've watched it 5-6 times. Looking at the linesman, he hasn't flagged at all. All that's happened really, the defender's just fallen over trying to clear the ball. The striker's got there first, and the referee has just disallowed it. We've got no idea why, to be honest.
To be honest, it's good poaching by the Warwick player to get him to notice that he's hesitating like that, and there's minimal contact. I can't see anything, and the body language as well. The defender, when he goes down, he knows that he's messed up, but can't understand it, to be honest.
Absolutely, you can understand why the players are outraged at the end of the game, talking to the referee, but you know, there's nothing really you can do when the decision goes against you. It goes against you.
Absolutely, it's the sort of thing you just got to get on with.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the goals now, guys. Let's look at the first goal to start off with. Stel, why don't you take us through your impression of the first goal?
Well, I mean, again, it starts with what I think was probably the main problem for Warwick throughout the whole game. They knock it wide. It wasn't a very good ball in, but there was quite a bit of a failure to deal with that. The clearance just needs to be stronger. You have to be more decisive. Either it's going to go, you know, behind for a corner, or it's going to go out for a throw. You can't knock it back into the danger area like that. But again, unlucky with the deflection. But you know, some of those you get, some of those you don't. You just have to take no chances. It's got to be a big clearance.
Geordie Neal's first goal of the game, Tony. I mean, as Stel said, you know, it's a fairly lucky finish, but you've got to be in the right place at the right time to take those chances.
It's true, and the idea of like making your own luck definitely comes to mind, because he's all over the pitch. This guy, Geordie Neal, throughout the entire game, he's almost like a pace ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
And you could tell when he knows that clearance, he can see that it's not going to go out. He's just in the right place, and it's a good finish as well, actually. Although it takes a deflection from my angle of that's going in the bottom corner anyway. So
yeah. No,
well played by him.
Great strike play by Geordie Neal. Matt, just to add on the first goal, I mean, just the poor clearance, I think, sealed Warwick's fate.
The clearance didn't even make it outside the box, that's how poor it was. So I think Warwick were the architects of their own downfall there. But as Stel said, the wing play from Loughborough, they just cut them apart.
And obviously take a look at the second goal, a clinical counter-attack from Loughborough, and eventually finished again comfortably from 6 yards out by Geordie Neal, but again putting himself in the right place at the right time, getting his second goal of the game, arguably the player to watch this week, the one to watch. Still,
yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah, I can't really see too much fault with Warwick at that. Possibly the defenders need to be a bit tighter, stay a little bit closer to the man when he's making a run into the box, but you know, the keeper has been dummied, and it is a simple finish, but like Tony said, I mean, you do make your own luck. He's got himself into that position. He knows something's coming. He can smell the danger, and you know, he's just there to finish it off as always.
And he stays so tight on that guy's shoulder as he's making that run through. He deserves a goal for that. I mean, a lot of players would probably just thought he's going to shoot himself, but he's got in that position. He's got his goal.
And obviously from then on there was no way back for Warwick. And Matt, conceivably Loughborough, I mean, they could and probably should have added to their lead.
Yeah, they had a couple more chances after that as well. There was one volley from well outside the box that was just tipped over the bar, I think. But yeah, they could have had many more goals in that game.
I think, yeah, their number 9, had he had a better day, the score could have easily been 4 or 5 against Warwick. He had a couple key chances that he put wide. One fantastic cross, actually, he headed where the keeper was caught in no man's land, but he just headed over the bar again, which was, from his perspective, I suppose, unfortunate, but fortunate for Warwick.
Oh, so you mentioned the keeper as well. I think talking before the show, this was an area that you wanted to concentrate on. You feel that the Warwick keeper, certainly didn't have his best day at the office today.
Well, I mean, he did have. I think I've highlighted 4 crucial slip-ups he made, which, you know, when you're at this level in this league, really can be detrimental. So there was very early on, I think, the first highlight, actually, the first move. He comes out, which is a good decision. He comes out of his area, but the clearance is just so poor. And if the Loughborough player decides to hit that first time, or if he takes a better touch, that could have easily been a goal. And there are a couple other instances with a couple deep long balls that he just fails to deal with. There's one through ball that goes straight down the middle. The Warwick defender has done everything right, but the keeper doesn't make the ball his own. And I think that with Loughborough on a better day, that could have been a lot more punishable.
Yeah,
Warwick goalkeeper getting away with things there, Tony. Then.
Yeah, definitely, because he just has to have more authority. I think, as Stel was saying, in those chances because Loughborough were pinging those balls into the box a lot, and that first chance where he just punts it back out, all the Loughborough players got to do is just get it back into the box, and it's a mess. Like, anything can happen.
And those sort of slip-ups, Matt, you know, when your keeper's making mistakes at the back, it's not going to inspire confidence in his defenders, is it?
No, that's you hit the nail on the head, really. The indecision from the keeper, it just means that the defenders have a lot more to deal with, and you saw with just the slip-ups that the odd player was making, it was that's what caused certainly the first goal. So that the keeper does need to be a lot more controlling in the box.
Absolutely. Now it's important to note that Warwick played their second game of the season last Wednesday away at Cambridge, where they suffered another heavy loss, unfortunately, by 3-0 this time. So 2 games in and no points for Warwick, which means that the table looks like this. Warwick bottom of the table on goal difference from Nottingham, Trent, and of course in the drop zone. Birmingham and Cambridge are mid-table, but both have a game in hand, and Worcester lies second behind Loughborough 2s, who made a 100% winning start to the season after their 2-1 win over Nottingham Trent on Wednesday. So guys, Warwick at the foot of the table, but let's remember they were promoted at the end of last season, so Stel, should a season following promotion just be about survival, especially when you take into account the fact that there are 2 relegation places in this 6-team league?
No, I really don't think so. I mean, first of all, we've got to give them credit for getting promoted in the first place, but I think you need to ride the confidence that you get off the back of that, rather than count yourself lucky and try to survive. I think they haven't had the best start to the season, and considering that there are so few teams, it could give them a bit of a psychological disadvantage now, but I think they really just need to get back up on their feet, put a couple goals in the back of the net because they're still goalless. But no, I really do think that they have a chance.
Tony, on the other hand, should we also say that because of the small size of the league, teams obviously are only going to play 10 games a season, surely getting the first points on the board are absolutely crucial, and in the first 2 games Warwick have failed to do that.
Yeah, that's true, and I don't know if I'd agree with Stel massively. Like, as you say, in such a small league, you've just got to consolidate. You've got to probably spend your first season shoring up the defensive frailties we sort of looked at. You've got players like Geordie Neal, who was a step ahead of them today. So you'll be coming up against those players all throughout the season. You've got to just get those points on early. So 2 losses isn't great to start off with, but a long way to go. So
a long way to go, absolutely. And let's take a look at Warwick's upcoming fixtures. 2 consecutive home games for the team. First up next Wednesday, we face Nottingham Trent, and then on November the 7th, we welcome Worcester to the Cryfield Pavilion. Both of those are 2 o'clock kickoffs. Matt Bartlett, brief word on the next match against Nottingham Trent. Obviously, Trent are that one place above Warwick on goal difference. They've also lost both games so far this season. Is it a 6-pointer already?
Yeah, it's a very crucial game now. I mean, whoever loses, if one team does lose, they'll be rooted at the bottom, and it will be a lot more difficult to get out of that drop zone. I think the game after that against Worcester is certainly a crucial game as well, because I mean, in such a small league, a couple of wins could be the difference between the top two and the bottom two, really. So.
Absolutely. Tony and Stel, I'm going to put you on the spot very quickly. Yes or no answer. Tony first. Is it a 6-pointer? Yes or no?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Without a shadow of a doubt, that is a 6-pointer.
Stel, do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree.
Okay, so potentially troubled times ahead for Warwick if they fail to win that one. Well, that's it for One to Watch this week. So the men's team have kicked off the season with 2 defeats, but there's plenty of time left potentially for them to turn things around. As the old saying goes, it will be a marathon, not a sprint, come the end of the season. Thanks for your company, and we'll see you next time.